And here we go on a Tuesday morning from the Built Ford Tub Studio, the Boomer and Geo program on this Tuesday morning on the Fan and CBS Sports Network all across the country. We've got Eddie, we've got Gallo, we've got CeeLo, and you. What we don't have are Boomer and Geo. Those guys are off golfing, so you got it's like an extended warm-up show. Myself and Al Dukes will take you to 10 o'clock, and so much to get to and so little time to do it. Al, how are you?
Oh, hi there, Jerry.
Oh, hello. Let's go. What is going on?
I'm doing pretty well, Jerry.
Doing pretty well. You made a good decision last night not to go out.
Not to meet up with Boomer and Geo?
Well, it went a little later than anticipated.
Yeah, that's
so
the problem.
I think you made the right move.
Yeah, I always, it's just that's how I keep my life sane. Is I try to keep my life very simple. Used to be just during the week. Now I've simplified my life in all ways.
Even more?
To the chagrin of friends and family.
Understood.
And relationships, Jerry.
Are you happy, Al?
That's a good question, Jerry. I don't know.
I thought the answer was yes.
Yeah, I think I'm like somebody who loves to keep a schedule, and when I'm in my schedule, I'm happy. But the second that schedule, Jerry, it's very limiting. I don't have any room for error.
Well, you're limitless today.
But today, I'm limitless. I've got 4 hours, Jerry.
4 hours to talk. You got a nice 2-hour car ride afterwards to listen to podcasts. You'll get sleep without the dog tonight.
Oh, Jerry, it's going to be glorious. We're going to Connecticut after the program. We're doing our show live tomorrow morning from Travelers.
Yep.
And we'll do the warm-up show. Then Boomer and Geo will be there.
Not too shabby.
At 6 o'clock.
And not too shabby. We'll get to not a lot just because, and that'll be part of the discussion. I don't know who watched the NBA Finals with how terrible they were. But Celtics did win the NBA championship. More on that in a little while, of course. But you know, you say not too shabby. You want to call it Grimace, you call it what you want. You want to call it any of these other things. The gay Mets, the rally pim, the fact that the Mets are just playing good baseball. The Mets are now 10-2 in their last 12 games. They've won 6 straight. And if you turned on that game last night for even 2 minutes or watched the highlight package today, I would almost sit there and tell you that they knew exactly what John Gray was pitching when he was pitching it. And then the next guy that came in and the next guy after that, because that was about as dominant an offensive attack as I've seen. And you know what I loved about it? I know DJ Stewart hit the mammoth home run for sure, and Nimmo homer later too. But that game started with single after single after single, moving guys around, base hits, sacrificing guys to third. That was as good an offensive performance, Al, as I have seen in a hell of a long time.
Yeah, this is what I do not ever understand about baseball, Jerry. I don't know. Like, I feel like there's certain sports where teams are pretty much consistent through most of the season.
Sure.
But baseball is a very bizarre one in that teams are really good, then really bad, then maybe really good again. You get a wide variety, which I don't quite understand. Like why guys can hit one month and can't hit another month. I actually saw Sonny Carton, Jerry, of all people, who I saw on Twitter. It really does come down to the guys like Lindor and Alonso that you pay to produce.
To produce.
You're right. And then your team wins.
Correct.
And when those guys are like regular guys that don't do much, then your team stinks.
And
it's
part of
that
it,
simple.
And part of it, too, is, J.D. Martinez. And I know last night he wasn't 5 for 5. I'm not sitting there saying they did what they did because of J.D. Martinez, but a lot of what they have done over the last couple of weeks, he has been the catalyst, and that's why you went out and got him. That's why people were screaming in the offseason, all right, fine, you don't want to go out there and spend this offseason because it's kind of a reset, but we still have really good players on this team. We'll go get a DH to at least fill that role, and this was why. All of a sudden, you're getting production out of the DH spot from J.D. Martinez that I don't think the Mets have ever had since the DH came to the National League, and that's a big part of it, too. J.D. Martinez is going well. Pete Alonso is going well. Brandon Nimmo is going well. Well, he hasn't been, but he was last night. Francisco Lindor's 4 for 4 last night and showing not only a pulse, but showing the star power he had when he was in Cleveland and now doing it at that level right now for this team, and he continues to just play an unbelievable shortstop. But I agree with you. It is, if you look at the Mets season right now, I think that encapsulates exactly what you're talking about. Horrific start, not a bad start, a horrific start to where, remember the quote from Gary Cohen, we've hit the low, I forget what it was, but something like rock bottom. It wasn't April yet, I don't think, and it was rock bottom because there was no one at the ballpark and they were terrible. They go on the winning streak. Out west, they're playing great baseball, then they fall off a cliff again, and now you look at them now, they've had 2 stretches this season now where they have been the hottest team in all of baseball, and they're on it again right now.
Yeah, and I saw, over the weekend it was I saw the Grimace Mets, the gay Mets. Then yesterday, we talked about the gay Mets on the warm up show.
Yes.
And then Boomer and Gio talked about. Gio heard it on the warm up show and discussed it some more. But I really haven't seen that be discussed outside of Twitter and where it was discussed here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Even the other shows here, I don't think they want to say the gay Mets. It's fun to say the Grimace Mets.
Of course.
Right, because that's fun. Although Sal was very angry at the Grimace Mets yesterday.
Yes, he was.
He doesn't want to deal with Grimace.
Because Sal's a serious guy, and that's where, like yesterday, I said to you, you call it whatever you want. They're playing good baseball, and
the gay Mets,
it
right?
has nothing to do with any of that other crap, but it's fun. I get that. But Sal is a serious guy who doesn't want to hear about that nonsense.
He doesn't want to hear about the Grimace Mets.
He does not. No.
He definitely doesn't want to hear about the gay Mets then.
All right.
Gay Mets.
I heard you. That's why I say not only do they have the winning streak, it's also 10 out of 12. Like, it goes back farther than the winning streak. They started playing better baseball. They started with did it start with the sweep? Yeah, it was the sweep over the Nationals, 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. Like, they were playing good baseball prior to that. They've just now haven't lost since then, and it's fun for people. I get it. Sal doesn't want to hear about it.
It is fun. Why doesn't Sal like to have fun stuff? Because Sal
He
seems
likes
like
to
a
yell.
fun guy to me.
Sal is a fun guy, but he likes to yell. When it comes to the teams he enjoys and doesn't enjoy, he's very serious. You know that. You've worked with him enough.
That's true. I just wonder too, like the Mets had to make that decision that we were going to use the Pride colored logo in our Twitter. Like, they had to come to that decision. They had to go, you know what? It's Pride Month. We're going to make our Mets logo Pride colors. And then other teams had to decide we're not, like the Yankees decided they weren't going to be the gay Yankees.
Well, maybe
They were just going to be the Yankees.
Maybe it wasn't even a discussion in some places. I don't know that every business, because it's a certain month of the, I don't even know. Is every month deemed
It's something, Jerry.
So I don't know that every business gets together in a conference room and says, should we do something for blank month?
Yeah, there are certain months though that businesses do like to get in the mix, and
Oh,
Pride Month is 100% one of them.
Oh, yes, what I'm saying is I don't know that every single business does.
Right. So are you suggesting, Jerry, that do you think there was a meeting at the Yankees and said, should we make our logo should we be the Pride Yankees this month or leave it alone?
I do think there probably was a conversation in that. Yes,
I feel like the Yankees, though, they're like, we're the Yankees. We're our logo day in and day out, Jerry. We're for the Pride Yankee fans, for all sorts of Yankee fans. They don't need to change their logo.
And I agree with that. And that's
Me
why
too.
there was so much outrage when they put the advertising patch on their jersey. Because think about the Yankee jersey for as long as we've been alive, and then going back beyond that. The road jersey, for as long as I can remember it, is that gray with the New York across the front. We know there's no name on the back. The pinstripes are pinstripes, no name on the back, just the numbers. The uniform has been the uniform forever. And I think when you start doing things differently, I'm with you. I think they look at us as, we're the Yankees. This is what we are.
This is our logo.
When the advertising patch went on, people were furious.
And we go, all are welcome here. We don't have to put
I agree with
various
that.
flags.
I agree with that. Just because you don't use the flag doesn't mean you don't support it, or you do support it. You're just being what you are.
But here's the weird thing. If you decide you're going to do the gay Mets and do the Pride flag, right, you then have to decide, well, do we do other things? You know what I mean?
That's what I said to you about every month there's something.
Yeah, and if you do nothing, then you're always just yourself.
Agreed.
Because otherwise the veterans could go, wait a minute. It's Veterans Day. You didn't make the camouflage Mets veterans?
Well, that's an interesting one, too, because I think those are league mandated, are they not?
Oh,
when
some
they
of those,
do
like
the July 4th.
Yeah.
Right?
Those are league mandated.
I'm
yes.
pretty sure they are. Memorial Day, they wear the different hats and the uniforms.
Because then you get into this thing, which I saw this a lot too, Jerry. They go, why is Pride a month and Veterans is a day?
I don't know.
You get into that battle.
I don't know. You can get into a lot of battles if you
Right.
want.
That's why best to just be your logo.
I mean, you want to get into a conversation, I would still want to know why veterans are not basically given, room and board and money until they die, especially
Give me
ones that
money.
go to war. I mean,
Absolutely,
there are
Jerry.
conversations we could really have that are serious.
Especially if you volunteered.
Agree. Yes.
Well, actually, that's not true because being drafted also
I don't-
very rough.
Either way, if you go fight for your country
Yeah.
and you're especially in wartime, I mean, my God, the fact that they're not, but that's another conversation for another station.
I used
for
to
another
think
time.
about getting drafted all the time. Be like,
Yeah.
what is my game plan, Jerry? I'm not built for. I don't even can't use a public restroom.
Well,
And I'm going into the
Here are
into
your
the
options.
military.
Your options would have been one of two things: you go or you go to Canada, and you're never allowed back.
Yeah, then you look like a bad American.
Or to prison.
Or
That's
he'd
no
rather.
good either. I would rather go serve my
course
country
you
than
would.
go to prison.
Of course you would.
Or even to go to Canada. Screw Canada.
Screw Canada.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I got crushed for saying Canada sucks?
Yeah. Well, now that's because back then Canada was cool.
Well, and I don't even know. It was a joke. I had never been there. It was just a line I threw out there, and I got murdered for saying that.
But something happened with Canada and that trucker situation. Do you remember there was a trucker situation where the truckers were mad at Trudeau, the Canada Prime Minister?
Vaguely. Now that you're saying it, a few years ago.
And people didn't like him for that. So I'm anti-Canada now. So I don't know where to go.
All right, well,
Just good old USA.
it's a good thing you don't
Jerry.
have Canadian vacations on your horizon.
Correct.
You'll be just fine.
Correct.
I do like Canada, for the record. I've been to Alberta, British Columbia. It's beautiful.
Is
I was
that
in
right?
Toronto. Toronto was very nice.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't feel like you're anywhere other than here.
Correct.
Very much like
It's like
here.
you're in Minnesota
Yeah.
or Michigan,
It's
freezing.
Very similar. And that was like my point yesterday with where we live is like anywheresville, USA.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you are on the ocean, like if you just live in a suburb, you could be somewhere in the middle of Pennsylvania, New Jersey,
Correct.
Connecticut, Michigan. You've got the same strip malls, the same restaurants, the same everything.
Yep. You got
There's
a Home
nothing
Depot
different.
here, an Applebee's
Yes.
there.
I remember there was one time I was leaving, I think we were leaving Iowa. I'm with Rutgers. I'm almost certain it was Iowa. And we were at a traffic light heading to the airport. And I looked to my right and there was a shopping center and it had an Applebee's, it had a Target, it had a Costco at the very end. It was a huge shopping center. And it was there might have been a Buffalo Wild Wings in there. I'm like, that looks like the shopping center in Middletown. Like,
Correct.
it's no different anywhere.
We call that fast food nation, Jerry. Everywhere looks the same. Everyone's got the same fast foods, the same Home Depots, all that stuff.
Fast food nation.
Fast
That's
food
exactly
nation.
right. So what do you think? Are you? I understand the inconsistencies of the Mets
Yeah.
and the inconsistencies of the baseball season. Are you buying this though, from the standpoint of? So here's the different directions that this could go. One, fool's gold. And a 5-game losing streak is basically going to rear its ugly head because you've got, I know 2 with the Yankees coming up. I got to look at the schedule, but I know the 2 with the Yankees coming up next week. The Rangers have not played great baseball this year, even though they're the defending World Series champions. Maybe they take 2 out of 3, split the next couple of games. Do you think that this is very real? Do you think this is the type of team that when they get to 500, they're going to take off? Do you think they're buyers? I mean, because to me, what I would guess concerns me about this Met team is what we have seen already. And we've seen the doldrums and we've seen the slumps. But boy, this upside is pretty good.
I think we'll get this upside for a little bit, Jerry. We've got who's that? Chicago Cubs after the
Oh,
Rangers,
yeah, there you go. Okay, yep.
Then the Yankees and the Astros. I'm sure it'll fall apart somewhere in here, and things will go into a bit of a disaster. And then they'll probably get another. Here's what'll happen: they're going to fall apart before the trade deadline
And sell.
and be sellers, and then whatever pieces are left will go on a winning streak and be like, look at the
What we could have
guys.
done.
Look at the young guys. Look at this, Jerry. And then that'll fade away as well.
I would say, though, from my standpoint, I actually think this is just who they are. And this is partly why I thought that they would be a 500 team. I think you're going to have a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and I think you're going to see a lot of upside and a lot of downside. And at the end of the day, this is probably an 81-win baseball team. Now, that said, when you look at the National League, and this is where it gets tricky if you are the Mets. And by the way, I don't know if you saw any of the DeGrom and Scherzer stuff from Texas, them talking about the Mets. Scherzer, I am telling you, even just listening to him, he loves what Steve Cohen is doing and the vision Steve Cohen has and for how he wants to win, which is why I keep saying, I know this is a weird season. I'm telling you, good times are coming, though, with, I think, the infrastructure that they are putting into place. That having been said, you look at this National League, and in terms of a playoff spot, and this is why it's tricky, right now, while I understand the Mets are a game out of a wild card spot, I don't know if you realize they're actually even in the loss column for the third wild card spot. They've played less games. I believe they're 3 or 4 games behind a few teams that are ahead of them. And it's not even that many teams ahead of them anymore. I mean, hell, they're only 4 or 5 games behind the Braves now, who are the top wild card team in the National League, as they have not played great and Acuna's injured and done for the season. Point is, if they hover, the tough decision will be adding or subtracting. And what do you do with Alonso? And the one thing about Alonso that a lot of people keep comparing it to, they compare it to the Islanders and John Tavares and the Maple Leafs. The difference for me is, because I wouldn't trade him, quite frankly, at this point. I would actually ride this out now, and I would take it to free agency. John Tavares grew up a Maple Leafs fan. Made it I think he loved it here, but was a Maple Leafs fan growing up. And I think that decision for him was hard because of that. I don't think Pete Alonso wants to be anywhere else but here.
Where did he grow up?
I don't know. I just know he went to
Google it,
Florida.
Jerry.
I'm not sure I don't know where he grew up.
Alonso. Because why isn't he a fan of some team when
he might be? I don't know.
He grew up in Florida.
Big
Rays fan, Jerry.
Oh, he's not a big Rays fan. Well, he's going to go to the Marlins. That might be better. Probably more Met fans in Florida
right.
there.
Yep.
They are Rays and Marlin fans. I just think, to me, at this point, I don't know who would give him more money than Steve Cohen. Now, things can change. He can go on a ridiculous tear, hit 55 home runs, and some team might come in and outbid Steve Cohen, which I find hard to believe. But my point is, I wouldn't do a thing with Pete Alonso right now.
Yeah,
and my mind's changed on that.
I feel like there's certain guys that are like locked in. Like Pete Alonso just seems like he should be on the Mets.
He wants to be, and that's part of it too.
So I would keep him as well, Jerry. I'm not trading Pete Alonso away.
And remember, they did offer him that contract in the offseason that he said no to. And Boris will try to get the most money, and I understand that. Let's see who's going to offer that type of money before we worry about it.
Pete Alonso was born in 1994, Jerry.
Wow, I was out of high school already.
By the way, I was working in Tampa at that time.
In 94.
When he was born. How about this? This is how old I am. I was working at a sports talk radio station when Mr. Pete Alonso came into this world.
In Florida.
Look
at that.
Probably had it on in the delivery room. Sports talk, Tampa Bay.
And he knew his future was.
He did.
The path was right in front of him.
This man will be criticizing me in the future.
You like Pete Alonso.